Hey, Professor Webster.
We're Team Taco.
Team Taco.
I'm Jamie Stevens.
I'm Emily Mellon.
Caitlin Lake.
Brianna Clevenger.
Alexa Gauchus.
Hey, this is our Research in the News article. Our article was called Snooze or Lose, Memory Retention Enhanced by Sleep.
Good article.
It was really good. Obviously, in the article it talks about how sleep aids memory, and they actually wanted to look closer at how it enhances declarative memory. And this is like in sequences, or people being able to look at a list and memorize the actual words on the list. How does sleep help them? Jeffrey Ellenbogen of Harvard Medical School and his colleagues recruited 60 healthy subjects, but they didn't want to use anybody that was like a night owl, lethargic, or restless, anything like that. The participants were assigned to one of 5 groups of 12 who had unlimited time to learn the pairings. 2 of the groups began learning at 9 a.m. and returned for testing at 9 p.m. With no naps allowed. The 2 other groups began learning at 9 p.m. and returned for testing at 9 a.m. the following morning after a night of sleep. The sleepers did not really do a lot better than the people that did not sleep all day, but they actually did have them try to memorize words right before they had the retention test, and the sleepers did significantly better in that aspect of it. So that was pretty much a quick overview of our article.
We thought that the purpose of the study was to determine whether or not sleeping would enhance memory, as in, if people slept, would they better remember it? Would it be more automatic in their subconscious? Just overall, would they remember more words than people who did not sleep? And the hypothesis we concluded was that, yes, sleeping would enhance memory.
All right, the first top 5 question that we decided was, is there a correlation between the studied variables? The definition of correlation is a mutual relationship or connection between 2 or more things. With this study, the 2 variables that were looked at were memory and the amount of sleep that the participants were given before the memory test. As stated before, both groups were given 20 pairs of words to remember. One group got no sleep between 9 a.m. and when the test was given, which was 9 p.m. And the other group got to have a full night of sleep after reviewing the words. And after participants had taken the test, studies found that the well-rested sleepers performed better than the non-sleepers did, and that sleep helped strengthen memory. And with this, we can conclude that the variables sleep and memory do correlate with one another.
All right, one of the questions I had was, how does this relate to other studies I have read about the topic, and are they stating similar results? I think this question is really is a good question, because when you read anything, you want to make sure that if it's valid, or is there other studies out there that are stating the same thing. Obviously, with sleep, we all know, with us being college students, we know that sleep is a huge factor with how well we do on tests, how well we actually want to be productive in studying, and all that good stuff. So how this relates to like other studies also. So like the NASA naps are widely known, and that's saying if you take a 26-minute power nap in the middle of the day, you will increase your how you will enhance in the rest of your day. We obviously presume all these things about sleep already, but this study helps prove it a little more, that sleep really is helping us throughout our day with our memory, with our cognitive, everything like that. And throughout our lives, we read a lot about sleep, and all of this leads to convergent evidence.
My research question was whether or not our research article had a true control that could expose any curvilinear relationships that might have been missed without one. We believe it's important to have a true control, first off, because without one, researchers can assume that their 2 manipulations, which are their experimental group and their comparison group, in this case of the study, the experimental group was the group that slept, and then the comparison group was a group that didn't sleep. They can assume that they're directly related if they don't have a true control, and this is the case in a lot of studies, and like the aggression example from class, without seeing how nonviolent video games factored into that, you could just assume that violent video games causes more aggression than playing no video games. In our research article, they did not have a true control. They just had the one group which slept overnight and got a good night's rest before taking the test, and then the other group that didn't sleep, that had to go all day without sleep before taking the test. I think it's kind of hard to have a true control in this just because you can't really have anything other than sleeping and not sleeping, but I thought that maybe if they included a group that slept for 5 hours or even 6 hours, just less than the whole overnight group, they could still see that whether or not sleeping at all, regardless of the amount of time, helped memory. And we thought that it's just better to sleep if you have something important the next day, regardless of how much sleep it is. It could still help your memory and help you remember what you need to know for what information you need to know for the next day.
Okay, my research question was, are the measures used in the study reliable, valid, or reliable and valid? To start off, a measure is only reliable if it's doing the same thing every time you conduct the study. As far as validity is concerned, we can test to see if the manipulation is valid if the measure is doing what we wanted it to. In regards to our study, our manipulation was how accurately the participants could recall the pairings of random words. The measures we used were reliable because our manipulation was doing the same thing every time we conducted it. And we were testing to see how sleep affects memory, and since our results supported that sleep does help memory function, we can therefore say that we indeed have valid measures. So our measures were both reliable and valid, which you want it to have in a study.
My question was, how well does your participant group represent the rest of the population? A current relevant study needs to have a participant group that can span across different societies and have greater generalizability. The paper does not indicate that race, age, gender, or any other details concerning their participant group used for this experiment. The article only states that they had 60 healthy subjects, and they already excluded night owls, restless, and lethargic sleepers, and so they already do not span across a huge general base. The lack of information that the article has does not help indicate memory or retention for the rest of the population. We thought that the study may not be able to represent a cross-culture population, considering there was only a small participant group of 60 people, and there was also not enough information given in the article to assess whether or not the study had a great participant group to start off with.
In conclusion, after reading the article, my group and I all came to the same conclusion that sleep obviously helps memory, and the authors of the article came to the same conclusion because they give evidence and talk about how their hypothesis was supported by saying that sleep aids memory. The group that slept more remembered more words on the list, in both with the group that slept and right before they took the test with the extra words that they learned, they remembered more words. So overall, the hypothesis was supported.
I kind of wanted them to use the participants that couldn't sleep in the experiment because I go to bed pretty late when I have a test the next day because I get so nervous about it. And then I wake up early just so I can study. And on days where I don't get up earlier and I feel like I've gotten more sleep, I feel groggy, I don't feel as prepared for the test. On nights that I actually get less sleep, I do better on tests. And so I wish they would have expanded their experiment to a wider group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to see how people who sleep less compared to the group that slept the whole night.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have included the gender, the race, and the age of the participants because we are very college students. We don't get much sleep. What about an adult that has kids?
Yeah.
Like just to compare and have a little more background on the study, it would just been a little easier to actually capture what the researcher was trying to do.
Well,
Yeah.
wouldn't an older person have a worse memory anyway?
Well, I was thinking about like adults with
So
different ranges of kids, like newborns versus, you know,
extraneous factors
yeah.
could have been in this study.
I read another article that kind of related to this, and they had like MRIs, imaging to actually show the areas of activation when sleeping in regards to memory. So I thought that would have been interesting to be in this article, because that would have given like concrete, like you could see it. You can't. It's not just talking about this happened. It's evidence.
So all in all, none of us really agree with how this experiment was conducted, and we also don't like short articles.
Yeah, we agree with the conclusion that sleep helps,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
not about everything
wrote
that
about
they
it.
Yeah.
went about doing.
It was a good article for an average Joe to read, because you kind of just read it and then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I need to sleep more.
But none of
Us-
us are average Joes.
We
anymore.
are
We
not average
are
Joe.
we're in methods, so we know a proper way to
We know
conduct
research and we know how to critique it.
Yeah,
So we're just saying they could have done a little
Exactly.
more information in the article.
but that's our presentation, and we hope your interview went really well.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. We wish you good luck, and we hope that everything went good, and hope to hear good news when
Yep.
we see you in class tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, guys!
I feel like I'm on a kid's